Every single time over the past few years that we've seen this signal flashing, the entire crypto market flips into bull mode, a time when we move from disbelief into belief. And when that happens, the entire altcoin market appreciates massively in value. And right now, with a number of major large cap altcoins sat at key breakout points, I believe we're about to see this happen incredibly soon. If you want to understand exactly what's about to happen ahead of time and see which altcoins are about to see some big breakouts, then hit the like button. Let's get into today's video. Now guys, before we jump across the cookie and look at this dashboard and find out what it really is showing, let's have a quick look at the Bitcoin chart so we can understand what's been going on behind the scenes. Now, those of you who are subscribed to the channel and have been over the past few months won't be surprised by what we're really seeing right now, because Bitcoin is loosely following the M2 money supply, and it has been for months. Now, obviously, everyone out there has started to realize that the M2 money supply is driving Bitcoin, but it still leaves you out there with the question, but yeah, M2 is driving Bitcoin, of course, but what really drives the altcoins? And you probably realize something. There's a lot of experts out there, seemingly experts in crypto and whatever else, who can't really identify the one key thing that it is that drives the altcoin season, or at least kickstarts the altcoins to getting rallying. But I believe simply, whether you believe it's this or that or whatever it is, altcoins eventually follow on from Bitcoin, and they do it at a very key moment, and that's where we're at right now. You see, Bitcoin puts in highs around the times that altcoins are going crazy. Lots of altcoins went crazy back here in March of 2024. We saw big moves across real world assets. AI coins had a really good run around that time. And then at the end of last year, we saw big moves for a lot of the major large cap altcoins like Cardano, XRPs, and all those, as well as seeing a lot of smaller caps starting to wake up as well. And then we get these big brutal pullbacks and everyone's like, oh, the crypto bull market's cancelled. We're not going to have a bull market this year. And then all of a sudden restored confidence comes back in, but it takes a little bit of time. In fact, I believe it takes approximately 8 or 9 weeks for Bitcoin to break beyond previous all-time highs. Okay, here it took like from September until around November Bitcoin to break this high. Here it took from basically January all the way until now, which is a good long period of time, to break this high. And now you can see once it breaks this high, it's starting to build confidence, but yet to see a significant push here. Once that significant push comes though, it will wake up the altcoin market. And we can see this happens here. It also happened back here, okay? Bitcoin puts in this high around here. It then comes to like 28th of January to start testing these highs, and then it breaks up. Around here, you can see Bitcoin goes up a bit more, but not that much. And around this point is when the altcoins start to show real strength. And that's because the altcoin market starts to move into belief phase. Now, if we jump across to Cookie, we want to start looking for belief to become a real thing again. So why is this showing us belief? Well, Cookie.fun is a really cool platform because it basically analyzes the sentiment across crypto on Twitter, okay? Soon to be potentially looking to analyze sentiment across YouTube and other places as well. But right now on Twitter. And what it does is it pays attention to different influencers, what influencers are talking about. It pays attention to comments and things that influencers' followings are saying as well. And it can work out by using various different AI tools, which is pretty clever, the different sentiment around different coins. And you can see the bad sentiment and the good sentiment. Now, obviously, at any given time over the past few months, you've seen different coins sitting in the good sentiment section and in the bad sentiment section. But typically in the good sentiment section, you just had a bunch of random coins that have been pumped by cabals or whoever it might be. Who knows? Okay. But what is so significant about what we're seeing in this good sentiment today is this. We have some pretty big OG altcoins sat in the good sentiment section for the first time in a very long time. I'm talking Ethereum, I'm talking Chainlink, I'm talking Cardano, I'm talking Tau Potenza, obviously Bitcoin's in there as well. Interesting, right? Whereas obviously if you flip across to the bad sentiment, there's a lot of slightly weaker coins, shall we say. You know, you've got obviously WIF and some meme coins and other bits and pieces like that, okay? When this is up in the good sentiment, it tends to mean the market's not looking too healthy. But when the good sentiment is some of the bigger market cap coins, the OGs, shall we say, things are starting to look a little bit better because that shift is happening from disbelief into belief. And let me show you on the charts what this really means for us and why we are genuinely about to see something very exciting happen. Now, as we see, looking back to the last mini bull phase, and we did have a bull phase, okay, if you didn't experience the bull phase, it's probably because you entered late or you're holding the wrong altcoins, then you can see that Bitcoin moves from the 6th of September up till the 17th of December. But in that same period of time, let's just have a look as an example at, let's say, Cardano. Cardano doesn't really do anything until like the 5th of November, 6th of November, where all of a sudden it goes up a whopping like 300%, which is a lot of money, okay? This is a big market cap coin. It pulls in a ton of money, a ton of excitement surrounded by this. HBAR, okay? Another big market cap coin. It goes up 815%. Chainlink rallies 200%. XRP rallies 490%. This signals the next phase of the bull market, okay? The next phase of the bull market is when suddenly confidence is restored. Right now, you're probably not feeling that confident, despite the fact that Bitcoin sits at all-time highs, and that's because the majority of your portfolio sits in altcoins. When altcoins get running, your confidence is restored. The sentiment doesn't control the charts control the sentiment. Okay, so when the charts move, the sentiment improves. What we're starting to see here is the early phases of the large cap altcoins starting to show improving sentiment as confidence returns to the market, showing us what the next phase looks like. Jumping back to the charts, if we know that Bitcoin rallies and then XRP and everything goes crazy, but only once Bitcoin breaks all-time highs, because look, XRP went sideways and down for ages, then we know that the next phase is upon us. Now, you can argue with me until you're blue in the face about why XRP happened to break out on that day, but it probably doesn't coincide with why Shiba Inu probably broke out on that day as well, okay? Or ICP, or whatever coin you're thinking about, okay? Because all of those altcoins all of a sudden wake up, and they only do it because Bitcoin hit a certain level. If you're like, oh yeah, but you have to see quantitative easing or something for that to happen. Lies. We didn't have quantitative easing when the entire crypto market increased in value from the 5th of November all the way up till around Christmas time. It did 102%. That's the entire market cap of crypto, minus Bitcoin and Ethereum, by the way. The others market cap, which is the cryptos outside the top 10, also pumps like crazy around that period of time. It all did that when quantitative tightening was around $25 billion per month. Right now, quantitative tightening has slipped down to around $5 billion per month, which is much smaller, a fifth of the size. So actually, economic conditions are far better now than they were at the end of last year. And they're only going to improve for crypto as various different banks, etc., are forced down the risk curve. Also, because of other things like US having to weaken the dollar and trying to weaken the dollar against things like gold and Bitcoin, because it's not going to be able to do it against China and other countries. Why? Because if the dollar is weakened against the Chinese yuan, what happens? It means that the products that China is selling to the US are no longer as cost effective for the US. So every time the US is printing money and devaluing its dollar, which we're seeing, China and everyone else is also exponentially trying to weaken their currencies to ensure that they're still cheap and still good to send products to different countries. This is why the M2 has been going up. The dollar's been coming down. Everyone's printing money like crazy to try and scramble to be cheaper than the US still, okay? And as this continues to happen, you can see more and more money flooding into the ecosystem, and crypto's going to go up. It's been going up because of this already, and that's why we're seeing Bitcoin at these prices. But it takes a while after these big pullbacks in liquidity for Bitcoin to rebuild and then for confidence to be restored. And it takes until Bitcoin breaks the previous high for confidence to really come back, because up until today, unless you've been subscribed to the House of Crypto, many people have still been bearish. I've seen it, okay? Many people are still like, I'm not sure. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, maybe I should buy in. And then obviously we've seen cryptos everywhere increasing in value already. So you're like, okay, cool. Just shut up a minute and just get on with telling me when these coins are going to break out and what they are. Now, I'm not telling you, by the way, to go and sell all your, whatever you're holding, to go and buy XRP or Cardano or whatever it is, okay? These are the big market cap coins, and market makers, etc., will pump them like crazy, and the exchanges, to get people back into greed mode. Now, how high can XRP go, Cardano go, etc.? Now, I have nothing against these coins. They're potentially going to be built into the framework of different financial systems into the future. They're already being utilized by various banks, etc. out there. But XRP has a massive market cap. For XRP to go up 5 to 10x, then it's going to be flipping like Ethereum and whatever else. Can it do that? I would anticipate probably not. Okay, I'm obviously not an XRP maxi, XRP army bro. Okay, so if that offends you, don't get too upset by it. But I'm just saying XRP will break out next. When it goes up, it will probably go from about $2 and potentially move to around $4. Maybe eventually by the end of this bull market, it moves to around $6, maybe to $7 or $8, which is a 3 to a 4x, which is still incredible, by the way, because it's come from down here. But XRP is pretty much on its way already. A lot of other larger caps are already on their way, and maybe you missed the boat if you weren't buying into them back in November or whatever last summer. Now, However, what you'll see is the larger caps run and then kind of the sort of mid to large caps run, okay, the sort of under $10 billion coins, okay, and then into the kind of the smaller caps, okay. So what we're looking at right now, just for this, isn't me trying to get you to go and buy these. If you want, do, you know, fill your boots. Personally, I'm not, okay, but you can just see where these breakouts might come from. This is XRP, as you can see, is being funneled into this symmetrical triangle, I guess we can call it. And as you can see, it's pushing up towards this point. Now, this is basically the start of July. XRP will make a decision before the start of July and probably within the next few days if Bitcoin continues to push higher. But, you know, Bitcoin maybe plays around above 100K for the next few days. Who knows? Maybe Bitcoin does this or whatever. Or maybe just by the end of the day, Bitcoin's up here. It doesn't really matter, okay? This is what people fail to understand. It doesn't matter whether it breaks out today, tomorrow, or the next day, as long as you know that it's gonna happen. Because when it happens, happy days. If it does this, happy days because you get to buy more. If it doesn't do that, you've obviously bought in already and you're still good to go, okay? Basically, you're investing over the next few months. You're not investing for what happens in the next 12 hours because no one really knows the answer to that. So XRP, as you can see, is coiling up for a breakout somewhere around here, okay? It does this, and I'm telling you now, it does this when Bitcoin eventually makes this move. Now, what is the trigger for this move? Is effectively the market makers deciding to press the button. But ultimately, we know that money's flooding in. It's flooding in through ETFs. It's been flooding in through institutional buys. It's been flooding in through everywhere. Basically, when these dips happen, short-term Bitcoiners and whatever else were selling off, liquidated long positions, etc. And then basically all the whales accumulating down here. Whales continue to accumulate around here, and then just continuation higher, okay? Now we start to see the next phase of the machine roll out where everyone's forced to ape and lay. Now Cardano, same sort of deal with XRP, but did have a bit of a healthier pullback than XRP because it went all the way up to these highs, and then came down 46%. And did that probably because its market cap is smaller than XRP's, okay? It's less well propped up. Maybe the Cardano community are like less, you know, strongly convicted of where Cardano is going versus XRP, whatever you want to call it. But basically you can see it's had a nice healthy pullback, okay? Anyway, whatever pattern you want to call this, I don't know whether it's one of these or one of these, but you can see it's basically channeling up towards this. Eventually it breaks this. When it does this, this is your signal that everything's about to go crazy. Well, no, not that everything is about to go crazy, that everything is already going crazy. I'm telling you right now that everything is about to go crazy, and I'm showing you why. Now, where else can we look? We can look at BNB, which is the Binance coin. You can see it has this nice little trace back. It rounds off, starts going into the uptrend. It comes up, it retests the top of this cup, ready to push higher. Binance is an exchange token. When markets are doing well and crypto is trading a lot, basically lots of people are trading on Binance, lots of people are buying the BNB coin. It's a pretty good indicator of the health of the market to look at exchange tokens. HBAR is another coin that saw this like major breakout here, okay? Again, what's it doing? It's making this nice healthy looking pattern here, higher lows, very key to see, and eventually we'll push into here. Now on the shorter term, if we were to jump into like a 4 hour, we can start to see what HBAR is really showing us here. You can see it has, again, this sort of downtrend. It's then created this little cup down here. Okay, it's broken its cup. Maybe it comes back and retests it, who knows? But eventually it sends up to here. Once this breaks out, everything's starting to look rosy. So in terms of whether or not we're going to see a nice big dip back down again, I don't think we're going to see a big dip. But is there a chance of a dip? Of course, there's always a chance of a little dip. You see Bitcoin having a little bit of a pullback here. Maybe Bitcoin gets down to these sort of levels. Maybe it gets down lower. Who knows? Who really cares, okay? Because you can see the trajectory of where these markets are heading. This is the others dominance chart. I showed you this the other day. And this is all the crypto coins outside of the top 10 and their dominance in the market. It's a really useful chart because it's basically showing the health of the altcoin market. You can see that this was the month of November here. If we were to jump to a daily chart, you can see that, yeah, 4th, 5th of November, basically we saw this push up, okay? That was a good indicator that we were going to see altcoins rallying strongly. We go back in time, we can go towards sort of January time, back in 2021, but you can see every time major pushes higher, you see that altcoins have rallied strongly, Bitcoin kind of goes up a bit during this period of time. This was the one that you saw in November. In terms of scale of what we're looking at, this is what we're expecting to happen around now, okay? Around now, towards the end of the year, there's obviously going to be corrections and things along the way, but this is ultimately what we're seeing. And the fact that we're bouncing along this trend line, which we've been bouncing on top of since May 2017, should give you a bit of confidence that altcoin prices are pretty much good value. Good value. Can they go lower? Of course, who knows? Okay, but good value all the same. I'm pretty confident with where things are heading. Now guys, what does this mean? If we look at the path to altcoin season, simply we see this. Bitcoin pushes, we then see Ethereum pushing. We've been seeing Ethereum already push, okay, because Ethereum is now looking strong. Ethereum Bitcoin's been pushing up on the monthly chart, looking pretty good. Okay, but Ethereum is starting to show us phase 2. It's been outperforming Bitcoin over the last month or so. Following this, we go into the larger caps, which is like the XRPs, Cardanos, and whatever I've just showed you, their breakout points. Following this, we get kind of broader altcoin market runs. Okay, broader altcoin market runs means that you don't sell all your altcoins and stuff because suddenly you see XRP and Cardano rallying and you want to move across. If you jump across to the altcoins that have been rallying on any given day, you end up getting the biggest red candle. Let me show you this chart. Just a couple of days ago, Kita was what? The coin that everybody was talking about. It was the one that everyone wanted to know, what's this? Why is it pumping? And I made this tweet here saying, don't worry if you missed it. I did too. As long as you realize you missed it and you don't ape in after everyone else, because who else is left to buy it and push it up further? Because that's how you end up 80% down on altcoins. I did that when it was here and I didn't know anything about the coin. I just know that coins go up and then they come down. And this one happens to be down 21% today. So by the way, go and give me a follow over on Twitter. It's Peter_THOC. If you missed out on that particular post and you ended up aping into a big green bubble yet again, stop doing it. Okay, because it's just what gets you wrecked. Just got to be patient. Okay, the whole market will start to push higher, but sometimes other coins are going to rally first. Now guys, if you're looking to buy any particular crypto coins out there, then I highly recommend that you use Bitunix or WEEX, both linked down below in the description. They don't require KYC or know your customer, no matter where you live in the world, which means that you can access them and buy different crypto coins without having to register your own details. They also have incredibly low fees, and unlike Coinbase and Binance, will also list a huge range of different altcoins, not just the biggest ones, but also smaller cap altcoins as well. So if you want to be able to access the different altcoins I personally talk about on this channel, then make sure you get yourself a Bitunix account and a WEEX account. I've also been working with these two exchanges pretty much longer than anyone else. So if you want to qualify for the best bonuses available, then make sure you use my links. If you've already set up an account before, don't worry, you can go and set up a new account with a different email address, no problem. Guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you have been unsure of what's been playing out over the crypto markets over the past few months, so that you can gain more understanding that everything is following a system. It isn't random. Nothing is random here. It is following a system. Coins pump for reasons. And if you want to know exactly why coins pump versus other coins on particular days, then make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Also later this week, we're going to start looking into some altcoins that I think are probably next to run after those large caps get pumping. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great week. See you soon. Bye-bye.